Welcome back everyone, finally to our Five Nights at Wario's Retrospective series. In part 1, I covered the original game and how by today's standards, it hasn't aged that well. But today, in part 2, we're covering the first Wario sequel, that being Five Nights at Wario's 2. Before we begin though, I would just like to thank you all so much for the support on part 1. The fact I put a lot of effort into that video and it really paid off just really makes my day. But I think that's enough rambling from me, so without further ado, let's get on with the show. With the first Wario's game, there was nowhere to go but up after it, because one thing that the original severely lacked was originality. Every mechanic was taken directly from FNAF 1, and that's what made the game feel very bland. Wario, however, had a backup plan. Do some of you watching remember a piece of dialogue from the first game that was secretly groundwork for a sequel? Well, if not, here's a reminder.
If you didn't know, Wario and Waluigi had a secret recipe that I'm sure many people really wanted to have. Apparently they came up with this recipe at an old location. Yeah, apparently Wario and Waluigi ran a little shop or something before this factory was opened.
Wario stated that in case he ever wanted to make another Wario's game, he'd base it around this backstory.
Yeah, I had every reason to just make more and try to flesh out the story. Did add in a little thing in the first game. In case I thought about it, in case I want to make more, I thought before I released it, and that thing was mentioned in a phone call that they had a cafe for this factory. Thought if I'm going to make more later on, if maybe some people play this game and want to see more, I can play off that later on.
Of course, that didn't end up being the plan. Well, not yet at least. But it was clear the stage was set for another Wario's game one way or the other. So, on January 25th, 2015, Wario released a trailer plus a demo for a new game titled Five Nights at Wario's 2. And only a few weeks later, on February 8th, the full game was released. So, with that all settled, let's get into it. So like last time, I'll be giving you all a rundown on every character and mechanic present in the game and talk about how each of them work. Afterwards, I'll talk about how congruently they work, and I'll be going over how original these game mechanics are. Because, spoilers, I have a lot to say about the mechanics of this game. So, here we go. This is your main line of defense in this game. That's right. 0 doors. To go to the back room, all you gotta do is click this green button by the bottom of the screen. In here is another mechanic that I will talk about right now. On the right side of the screen over here, you'll find the generator. This thing acts as a timer that you must check on occasionally and charge so that it doesn't run out. Because if it does, the whole building will black out. However, unlike the power meter in FNAF 1, you can actually recharge this one even if it does run out. However, it's 50-50 on whether or not you survive, because once a character enters the office during the blackout, it's an insta-kill. But speaking of characters, how's about we talk about them now? Yeah, so I'm just gonna save you all a bit of time here and just bunch these guys together, because each of them work the exact same way. The only difference between the three is that Peach starts in a different location than Wario and Waluigi. Those two start in the entry staircase, and Peach starts in the hallway. They'll slowly make their way towards you, and once they do, they each come from the left side of your office. To avoid death by either of them, simply hide in the back room, wait a few seconds, and they'll be gone. Also, be sure not to charge the generator while someone's in the office, otherwise you'll instantly die. One of the new antagonists featured in this game, Bowser also starts in the hallway like Peach. However, unlike the others, Bowser will attack from the right side of your office. But, just like the others, hiding in the back room will stop him. Much like the first game, Mario starts in your office and he will go through 3 phases before he truly attacks. Once he reaches his final phase, which is his hostile one, again, hiding in the back room will get rid of him. Now, before you guys type in the comments, you forgot a few mechanics. Yes, I know, and I'll talk about them in due time. But before I do, let's just take a moment to digest everything I've gone over thus far. I wonder if you guys noticed a certain pattern with every character I've discussed. A very repetitive pattern, I might add. Yeah, every character is the same. Literally, every character is dealt with the same exact way every single time. There's little to no variety with this game's mechanics, and because of that, I can break the gameplay down into 3 simple steps. Step 1, keep the generator charged. Step 2, wait for a character to enter your office. And step 3, hide in the back room for 5 seconds, leave, then rinse and repeat till 6 AM. Those 3 steps are all it takes to beat this game, and by night 4, I was already really bored of it. And this is the kind of FNAF formula that I find to just be downright bad. However, there are some saving graces, because there is one more mechanic and one more character that I have not addressed yet. That being Toad and the lightning. Once you reach night 2, you'll probably notice that the tool storage has a completely blacked out camera. However, you can see into the room through the lightning flashes. Yes, so the lightning flashes act like an automatic light switch in this game. They take about 10 seconds to strike each time, and they're the only means to tracking Toad's movements. Each time the lightning strikes in the tool storage, you're able to see Toad in a cabinet. As the night progresses, Toad will gradually make his way out of the room, and once he does, simply hiding in the back room will... Dang it. So, I guess that's a half win. But still, it's obvious to tell that this game has the same issue that the first game had, which was a lack of creativity. Every character in the first game, besides Mario, worked the exact same way, and this game carries that same problem. And I hear people say this is where the FNAF series started to get good, that this game is overhated, and that it's much fresher than the first game, but to that I say...
That's what I thought you said. Now let me offer this as a rebuttal.
So most people you ask will probably tell you that FNAF 1 is just a shameless reskin of FNAF 1. But what if I told you FNAF 2 felt like a shameless reskin of another FNAF game? So, FNAF 2. I think it's a decent game, but there is a glaring issue that many are quick to point out about it. It's the fact that over 80% of the characters attack you the exact same way. They appear in the office, and all you do is put on a Freddy mask. However, the other percentage that counteracts that are Foxy and the puppet. Foxy is repelled by the flashlight, and the puppet is kept at bay by the music box. If we move over to FNAF 2, the same issue is apparent, but it's even worse. As I said earlier, about 82% of the FNAF 2 enemies require the mask to ward off, but it is 100% required to use the back room for every enemy in FNAF 2, which is the prime reason why I personally find this gameplay loop repetitive and boring. Okay, that may have been an unnecessary tangent, but long story short, FNAF 2, in my opinion, is not where the series started to come into its own. If anyone ever claims that it was, then send them this part of the video. Okay, before I end this section, there are of course some Easter eggs once again. Mario can once again appear on the cameras, this time on night 2 in the machinery. Wario Man can rarely appear during the lightning flashes. And who could forget Yoshi? The game opens with an exposition of text, much like the first game. It states, on a cold October evening, a man walks towards his new job. As he walks towards WarioWare Incorporated, he feels a cold breeze in his face. Unaware of what awaits him, he enters the building that would soon become his reality nightmare. End quote. Once you start in the office, you're then greeted by another phone guy. This one not only is a familiar character, but a familiar voice too.
Some have gone as far as saying that this place is haunted. Well, if that's true or not, you just gotta believe what you want. But trust me, I have experienced hauntings before, and it was as far from fun as you can get.
Yep, the phone guy is none other than Richard McRoy, the night guard from the first game. But yes, he is also voiced by Dawko, one of the most well-known FNAF YouTubers. He explains the history of WarioWare Incorporated and what the fate of the original building was.
You remember I said that we built this up from the ashes? Well, this building actually caught on fire many years ago. Luckily though, no one got hurt, or actually, one did. A dragon-like creature. He died in this fire. He was a bad guy, so who knows? He might have been in the cause of the fire in the first place.
On night 4, Richard claims to have hired an expert to look at the generator and fix the problems with it. However, this caused the generator to get worse than it was before, as it now runs out quicker, but you're able to charge it up faster than before too. Something about Richard, though, is that each night he gets progressively more sketchy sounding, especially on night 5.
Listen up. I think someone actually might be in your office right now. You probably don't see anyone yet, but he's there. Don't get too scared now, though I'm guessing he's watching you as we speak. We've nearly given up on this power system, as it doesn't seem to get fixed. You've just got to live with it tonight as well. But you've done well so far, so it shouldn't be a problem, correct? Bet you are looking forward to the weekend, huh? Getting some rest? I bet you are. Goodbye.
Once beating night 5, you'll be presented with another cutscene, stating, that same evening, a mysterious phone call was made. A phone call with a request. It looked like Saturday wouldn't be a day off after all. End quote. After that, you're given an end screen. Right away, you'll probably notice Mario hanging out in the bottom right corner. If you click on him, however... Yep, this game keeps going. This time around, night 6 is a canonical night, and the stakes are immediately set by Richard's phone call.
I see you got my phone call this morning. Sorry that you have to work on a Saturday, but we had no choice. We had some problems that required a security guard. Now, since you're here, want to play? Want to have some fun with us? I like to call this game No Pain, No Gain. You know that you have to work in life in order to be rewarded, Thomas. And I got a feeling that you will leave in the morning like normal, maybe even earlier. In this little game you cannot skip work, Thomas. No, that's against the rules. So I was kind enough to lock the doors a few minutes ago. That way you will stay here tomorrow and work here tomorrow night as well. But don't worry, I've left food there for you to eat. You can thank me later. I've done this myself, somewhere else, several years ago. Now it's your turn to have some fun, eh? Ready, set, go.
While Night 6 is likely the first time new players will find out about Richard's true colors, you can actually find out a different way too. Once more, just like FNAF 2, if you end up getting jump scared by one of the enemies, the game has a slight chance to not end. Instead, you're thrown into this secret cutscene which reveals Richard's true motives way earlier than Night 6.
Hello? Hello? Are you there or not? Good.
But continuing on to Night 6, nothing is different other than the difficulty being increased. But that's fine, we beat it, which means the game is over. What the fuck? Once again, the game keeps going. However, this is the final night, thankfully. Night 7 does have another phone call, and Richard has some very choice words for us. Yep, it's just the classic random nonsense phone call just like in FNAF 1. And just like the random nonsense in FNAF 1, there is a secret message by reversing the audio. But just for fun, I'm not going to play it on this video because I think it would be more interesting if you guys heard it for yourselves. Upon completion of Night 7, you're given a newspaper article about the events that transpired the last few days, and it claims the manager, who we know as Richard, is now on the run and is being hunted by the authorities. Alright, so there is a lot to go over, just like last time. Also, like last time, I'll give a quick TLDR of the story given to us. Just note that any future lore revelations included in later installments will not count, as they didn't exist yet by the time of FNAF 2's release. So, starting from the beginning, you play as Thomas Taylor, a graveyard shift security guard working his brand new job at the newly rebuilt WarioWare Incorporated. Once he begins each shift, he receives a series of phone calls from his manager, who we later find out is Richard McRoy, the player from the first game. Richard informs Thomas about his experience with Wario's previous location and claims that this building is not haunted. Of course, we find out soon after that that claim is bogus because Wario and the gang soon start to terrorize Thomas Taylor. As each night passes, Richard progressively becomes sketchier until the bomb is finally dropped on Night 6, where Richard reveals his true colors and locks you in the building. Thomas thankfully escapes the day after and informs the public about Richard. Afterwards, the authorities begin a manhunt for Richard McRoy, and all we're left with is this newspaper and a cliffhanger. Well, here we go. My final verdict on FNAF 2. Judging from what I've said thus far, you'd probably think I despise this game. But no, it isn't the worst FNAF fan game in existence, it's just a mediocre one. FNAF 1 and 2, I feel, are the bottom of the barrel when it comes to this series. Boring, repetitive, and uninspired is how I describe both of them. The story is something I am invested in seeing a continuation of, considering this game ended on a cliffhanger, but a decent story doesn't really make up for tedious gameplay, at least in my opinion. Now, when I point out the negative aspects of these games, I never mean any ill intent on www Wario, as I deeply respect his work and I'm only sharing my opinions about his games. If you guys have differing opinions about FNAF 1 and FNAF 2, you can always talk about them in the comments. Just please be civil about it. Anyway, I think that will do it for now. So, as I briefly mentioned at the start, I am so sorry this video took 2 months longer than initially planned, and I'll try to be better about getting the next few released on schedule. Speaking of the next few, I can also assure that the next retrospective on the FNAF series will be a lot more positive. What do I mean by that exactly? Well, guess you all had to find out next time. But, like I always say, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Take care, and bye-byes.